Actions are being taken by some. Water managers are improving the way we do our business, which basically is collecting information, planning, creating institutions and capacity, designing, building, and operating works, and sometimes contributing to raising the funds. I have an example of an organization that in the water sector that's doing that, the Uganda Water Utility. They have increased their efficiency levels and their effectiveness in management. They multiplied the number of house connections constructed each year by a factor of 8. They multiplied the total number of house connections since they started their reform process by 3.5 times. And they did this while they were reducing their staffing by 25%. This is good news for the business school, right? And so the number of employees became 1/5 of the number that they had before they started these measures. They increased their income 3.5 times. And so they went from being a drain on government resources to being a net income generator. And as a consequence, other investors, including the external agencies who provide aid, were very happy to come in and help this well-run institution. The Third World Water Development Report describes measures that are being taken by, I leave this on the screen so that you can take it down if you want to take a look for it. It describes measures being taken outside the box, not by the water managers, but by others, by government, by the private sector, by the communities. And how do they do it? By creating space for change, by cooperation and building knowledge, raising awareness, and most of all, ensuring sustainable financing. And I give you an example of that recognition, again from an African country, Zambia, where they recognize the importance of water for development, linked their water resources plan, talked about the river basin plans here, their water resources management plan is now tied to their national development plan. So they know the two of them have to go together. And they saw this as essential, fundamental to poverty reduction in Zambia and achieving the Millennium Development Goals. The report concludes by saying inaction is not an option. It's going to be even worse if we don't do something. But the challenge can be met. Some are doing it. And finally, it says that leaders in the water sector and decision makers outside the water sector have to act together. Is there a way that we can have sustainable management of the world's water resources in order to have equitable and sustainable development across the planet? 10 years ago, this week, in The Hague at the Second World Water Conference, this report, of which I was the principal author, was released, the World Water Vision. This report was prepared with collaboration from something like 5,000 to 6,000 people around the world. The internet, yes, had been introduced, but there weren't many sites that you could go to for information, but at least email was working, and we were able to communicate for the first time to get other people involved in an exercise. The report said that there wasn't a problem of total water resources on the world, there was a problem of managing these resources. The way we were doing it then, in 2000, was unsustainable. The vision foresaw that by acting to change our practices, in 2025, we could be living in a world with a population of 7.5 billion people, where everyone would have access to safe water supplies. Agriculture would produce enough food that no one in the world need to go hungry. Reduced consumption by industry would be accompanied by increased activity by industry, increased economic growth, not just in the industrialized world, but in the emerging and developing countries as well. And similarly, a concern for the fresh water and the environment would have reduced the volume of waste from human activity and led to the treatment of most solid and liquid waste before their controlled release into the environment. But more significantly for me, those who participated in the vision exercise didn't stop with the satisfaction of these physical needs. They saw the world in 2025 as one in which citizens would contribute to the making of decisions that directly affect their lives and their livelihoods. The scenarios recognized that in 2025, some countries could lag in the development of representative political and social systems. And because of this, some of them would need further efforts to raise their living standards and improve the quality of life for themselves and for all living things. Unfortunately, I think I told you, the report described the resources and their management at the time. It came to the conclusion that we could go a long way through technology and economics, but that cultural or behavioral change. Thank you. I think I'm going to make it.
We're taking notes on content and style.
It was going to take more than economics and technology. It was going to take cultural and behavioral change. And it described steps that could be taken to arrive at the vision. So this was backcasting. We were in 25. What were the things we had done to get there? We assumed that it would take a few years to get the message out. We were trying to get the message out of the water box to other people who needed to know about this. It may take a little longer to get strategies and policies put in place. But certainly by now, action would have started. Well, 10 years later, based on what I've just shown you from the Third World Water Development Report, there is disappointing progress at all levels. And it's clear to me, sadly, that the World Water Vision will not be achieved in 2025. So what are the pressing issues we're facing today? Well, in the meantime, the world is changing, and this at an accelerating pace. Climate change is now a fact. When we wrote the Vision report, started writing it 12 years ago, the IPCC was just about to release its second report, which said, yes, something's going on, but we don't know for sure, and we don't know what's causing it. Now we know.